When I was at my last agency, T&W, the company culture was one that was so inspiring and empowering. We used to have Creative Mondays, and Creative Mondays, like the MD would give each person the opportunity to share something that's inspired them. So obviously he would lead most of the time, but he would also give it to the rest of the staff and what's inspired you. And one Monday he shared with us a TED Talk by Simon Sinek, which is Start With Why, which is basically all about how people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. That was a huge game changer for me in terms of how I build my properties and in terms of how I position myself. Like when I introduce Feel Good Series, I talk about it being a platform for emerging and eclectic musical talent. It's a platform to empower them. It's a platform to give them a stage to express themselves. I don't ever say party. When I talk about Bloom, I tell people the story continuously of how when I was looking for a platform to inspire me to make a really life-changing move in my life, I couldn't find one. And so I was inspired to fill that gap and create a platform where creative women can come to feel inspired, to be empowered, And that's the story that I tell. I don't tell the story of we're a conversation series or we're a wah festival. I talk about the why. When I talk about Pantone Sundays, I talk about how, like I said, how it's a platform, it's a color-themed fashion platform that's there so that, young designers can express themselves. And I continuously talk about the why, because the truth of the matter is we're gonna get our products wrong sometimes. But when we've built brand affinity and we've built brand loyalty, people are forgiving because people understand that there's a bigger mission here, that there's a bigger calling here. And I think sometimes that story is far more important than the story of a product. It doesn't mean that the product shouldn't be good. It should be good. This was such a life-changing talk. And like I said, you can find it from TED Talks as Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. You can also buy the book. It's available widely at exclusive books, etc. And really, every single year, I not only watch the talk, I read the book, because it's just the thing. We all have our rituals. How do you want to end the year, or how you want to kickstart the year? I always want to close and start the year reminding myself why I do this. Simon Sinek talks about this golden circle, and I think it is a weapon as for any business-minded individual to harness, learn, and be inspired for it. So he has a circle, and he talks about how people define themselves. They tend to, when people communicate around their brands, their products, around their services, around their business, they work from the outside in, if they even get to the why. They start by telling people what you do, and they go into how they do it. And very few of them ever go into why you do it. And really the whole philosophy around this is that it's really the why that captivates people. If you're listen, what do you do? We're a creative agency. We're creative agency, and our services include a design, strategy, blah, 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 blah. Every traditional agency does that. Every agency does this. There's nothing special about that. And people will sometimes go into how, and they'll have a part in the website where they go into a bit of their processes, we have a client induction, and then after the client induction, this happens, and then that happens, that happens. And that's great. It's great to have that process, but it's not the thing that excites people. It's not the thing that makes someone say, you know what? instead of going with Jabulani, I'm going to go with Nandi. What really excites people is when you tell them why you do it. This is the stuff that, that helps you win pitches. Whenever I would pitch on any job, even on behalf of myself and agency, we go straight into the why. We go straight into the personal story. Like, what is the purpose? And people, when they relate with you on purpose, they are prepared to work with you on how to actualize that purpose. Because maybe we're not aligned on the how, but if you start with listen, I want to change the way that people consume music. I want to change the way that people consume food. I want, like, when you talk like that, like, that's the stuff people are like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I want to make this, when you sell them a dream. And I think it's quite an interesting thing that Simon says in his talk, his on Sun. There's a reason it's called an I had a dream speech and not I had a plan speech.